Hello, beautiful Sagittarians. These are going to be your messages starting in December for the next few weeks. So if it doesn't make sense to you in January, in December, listen to it in January. For those of you who are coming back, welcome back. Thank you so much for coming back. And for those of you who are new, welcome. I hope you like what you hear. I will set my intention, and my intention is always, always, always to give you information that has the potential to shift how you see things, to shift your mind, to shift your perception. Because the moment you shift your perception, you begin to shift how you see the world. And as a result of that, the world brings good things back to you. So I feel this is going to be one of those messages again where I feel a lot of heart in this. And I felt this with another sign. I'm not sure which one it is right now, but I felt the feeling that I had associated with that and with you is that of an ending. But it's not because something is happening and something bad is ending, or something is ending because it's bad, or because something bad is going to happen, I should say. This is more an ending of a cycle, which is heavily connected to the idea of letting something go. Whether it is letting go of someone, whether it is letting go of something, most likely it is letting go of how you cling on to your past. And we all cling into our past for some reason or another. And some of the things we cling to aren't necessarily bad. They're good. So I don't think we're going to talk about those aspects. We're going to talk about the things you cling to that, though having served you in the past, now have outstayed its welcome, and now they're in a space where it is limiting you, or I should say, you are limiting yourself. And we all have limitations. We come to this existence in order to experience life from the perspective of limitations. So yes, we have limitations, but far more than the limitations we actually have, we put limitations on ourselves. So those are what I would call self-induced. My aim is to help and highlight some of those things for you so that you can make a wise choice, whether you continue to do so or to move on to something different. And it's literally as easy as making a choice. What is not so easy, perhaps, is to action that choice. And actioning change is always probably the most difficult, because it requires you to go beyond what has been known and to try something different, which can often feel very scary. What I felt when I tuned into your energy is I saw a symbol which was telling me you are at a point of completion. But that doesn't surprise me, because every single sign I've done has an element of completion in it. It also makes sense to me, logically speaking, because we are moving, this is the last month of the year. We are beginning a brand new year. We are beginning in that way a brand new cycle. So it only makes sense to me logically that you too will be closing certain cycles in your life. Most of these cycles are connected to the way you see yourself, which is obviously connected often to your past. So I saw you being in this cycle. What can this mean for you? I keep hearing January. So for some of you, this cycle is going to end and a new one will begin around the month of January. This could be a physical move to a new location, a move to a different job, a move from one property to another, a move in a different direction, a change in the way you do things, change in the way you see things, which the moment you begin to change the way you see and the way you do things, things start to move. Therefore, it's possible, because as a result of that, you will have a move in your physical life. I also saw, this was really interesting, because I had a vision, and it was very symbolic, it was metaphorical, where you were walking through snow. Maybe some of you will resonate with this, actually, but you were walking through snow, and it was really hard, the weather was very harsh. So this to me symbolized, okay, you're walking through some, what I would call treacherous weather conditions. In other words, walking in snow when it's blizzard outside and, you're not in a nice car, you just got clothes on and it's, the snow is several feet deep. You can imagine it's not very comfortable. So this denotes to me that you are in an uncomfortable transition, and we are all in transitions. But what I was drawn to the most is you are dragging something with you. And I thought, why on earth are you dragging something with you? Clearly it's very heavy. So if it's heavy, it must be worth something. Let's see what it is. And then I saw these people who represented your past, all attached to it. And I'm going, okay, why are you dragging these people behind you? And I actually wrote, why are you dragging things with you, people from the past? So this denotes to me that you are working through some challenges, and it has to do with you holding on to your past. And as we know, past has made us, and oftentimes past ends up defining us until we put stop to that, until we put past where it belongs in the past. And then emotionally, we're no longer connected to it. So the past, at least the past that we don't want to repeat, has less potential to influence you going forward. And like I mentioned, we are moving to new frequencies. We are starting a brand new year. I believe your year has just started, right? Yeah, November, December. So this is a brand new cycle. And as the wording suggests, brand new cycle means something new emerges as a result of something leaving or something dying. And it's not a physical death. This is not about a prediction of somebody dying. It's the death card, the situation, dying of a situation or a certain way of being. So I posed the question, what is the most important thing they need to know right now? And what I heard was self-responsibility. So this is not to suggest that you are not a responsible person. This is to suggest that perhaps you don't take yourself seriously. Now, some of you take yourself too seriously. Some of you don't take yourself seriously enough. I want to talk about those of you who don't take yourself seriously enough. And what I am talking about is your sense of value in terms of who you are. In other words, if you devalue yourself, your ability to attract something or someone of value will not be very high. And even if you do attract something that's of high value, whether it be partner, money, a good situation, good paying job, you will have a tendency to question it, whether it'll stay or not. So you will live in constant anxiety, or you will do what people do. You will self-sabotage it because there's a part of you that doesn't believe or is not resonating on the same level. So since we are going through these changes and we are shifting our beliefs, this time of the year is important for you to perhaps look at some of the beliefs that hinder you, and look at those beliefs like you were looking for weeds in your garden. And although I'm not a proponent of getting rid of plants, because Mother Nature is magnificent, it's on its glory, but the analogy is just like you wouldn't want weeds in your beautiful garden, unless you don't want a beautiful garden. But if you don't want a beautiful garden, why planting a garden? Doesn't make sense. You're wasting your energy. So be mindful where your attention goes. So if your energy goes often to points of an anxiety, then there is some sort of fear that is being triggered, then that needs to be addressed. For whatever reason, well, the reason is we're closing a cycle. You, just like all the other signs, are being asked to look deeper into yourself in order to understand yourself better, so that you can see and observe things much more clearly. If you were to step aside from your body and watch yourself living your life, chances are you would see many things that you're not able to see in everyday life. And that's because it is to see yourself from a certain perspective gives you a certain view. And then when you see yourself, from a different perspective, you see something different. So this is about taking some time in order to observe yourself in terms of what you do and how you do and how you do things, particularly in areas where you struggle with the most. So for example, if you are someone who struggles with money and you have difficulty attracting money, if you were to step out of your body and watch yourself and your relationship to money and where it came from and how it makes you feel, how money makes you feel, what's being triggered, then you would be able to see many things you probably can't see in everyday life. So those are the things that I do with clients in order to help you see yourself from a different perspective. Why is a different perspective so important? Because it makes the whole world available to you that wasn't available before. In other words, you begin to see different things, and with that comes the added bonus of being able to see more choices and more options for yourself, and that's always a good thing. So going back to the self-responsibility, let me just see what this is about. Yeah, not taking yourself seriously. If you struggle with self-worth, then that's because you're not taking yourself seriously in terms of how valuable you are. And just by the very fact that you are breathing, you are valuable. Just because you exist, you are valuable. Yes, I know it may not be in accordance with the human thinking, but if you don't see yourself as value, chances are nobody will. And if they do, you won't believe them, or you will question them. You will not be sure if they may be being true. Maybe they want something in return. So self-responsibility, let's see if it comes out. There's more that comes out as I move along. So what is the focus? Now it's interesting because the card of blessings came in reverse, and I usually don't see these cards, or don't look at these cards in reverse, but sometimes I'm being prompted to look at what the opposing energy would be if it's reversed. And what I see here is that you know what I'm getting? I'm getting you're not very grateful for who you are. And chances are, if you're not very grateful for who you are, which is synonymous with you valuing yourself, then chances are you may not display a lot of gratitude in your life. I'm going to have to, Joanna will have to think about that. My logical mind is kind of going, really? So I'm going to have to think about that. But that's what I'm being asked to say. In other words, the less you value yourself, the less you will see in yourself, and the less you will see, the more you will see in others, and there will be propensity to you thinking you want to have things like other people, or you want to be somebody else. And what that does, it further perpetuates the notion that you are in a lack, that you're consistently in a lack consciousness, in a lack energy. And the way to turn that around is to become almost like childlike, not childish, but childlike. You know, when children are young, they're at awe with everything. You give them every little thing and they're just, wow, ready to explore. They have this openness. There is no agenda. If you can remember the last time you were really happy when you were young, and then compare the feeling to how you feel right now, chances are you would notice that there is a difference. Well, for one, you're more grown, so you are much more independent, and you are much more mature, and you are much more responsible. But that innocence, chances are that there is that innocence that's lost. And it happens through circumstances, it happens through our experiences, obviously. But what it does, it's not that it prevents us from creating the future that we want, but it absolutely limits us from creating the future that we want. Because when we are in awe and wonder. We have no attachment to any outcomes. We're just in awe and wonder of what is, and we're just experiencing the awe and wonder. When we have too many expectations, and when we focus on things in front of us, and we are have an anxiety over the things we don't have because we're focusing on the very thing that we don't have right now, then chances are that that energy of awe and wonder isn't there. And that energy, that innocence, that exploratory feeling is what I'm being asked to say, an incredibly powerful vibration for attracting whatever it is that you want to attract. So here comes an idea. In your meditation, or if you don't meditate, make this your meditation. Imagine yourself, or bring a memory of the last time you felt really happy when you were a child, and really tune into that feeling. Many of you will go into your head and you will begin to observe, and your mind will begin to look at things from a logical point of view. But I want you to feel it. I want you to really just feel it, and allow yourself to remain in that feeling for as long as you possibly can. Sometimes it's as little as few seconds, and then your mind kicks in. The point of this exercise is to get you used to feeling this way. Once you get a little bit more comfortable with feeling this in your meditations for a prolonged period of time, you may want to introduce the idea of your intention while you're in that state. I've never received this before, so this is brand new, as you know, hot off the press, so to speak. So I will do that exercise as well. Yes, when you're in that state of high vibration, because that's a very high vibration, bring in the element of your intention in terms of what you are trying to create, and hold that in your mind, hold that vision in your mind, and notice if whatever the vision of your intention is differs in feelings in terms of that happiness that we were talking about, that awe and wonder. And if there is a difference, examine it, because here's the deal. If what you are trying to create, or whatever your intention is not vibrating in the way you're vibrating, or is slightly off in terms of vibration, or then you might, I'll just continue. Then that means that frequently your emotional connection, or your truth, if you will, is contradictory to what it is that you are trying to achieve, or trying to intend, or to your intention. Example. If you grew up in an environment when life was chaotic and you saw your mom and dad fighting all the time, then your truth generally will be that relationships are they're chaotic. So you would naturally, more likely than not, attract tense partners, tense situations, and your relationship in many ways would resemble the ones you have experienced when you were experiencing your mom and dad, or observing your mom and dad. Naturally, you would want a relationship that would be opposite of that, and you would want to create it, you'd want to attract it to you. But the problem is, your truth about a relationship is the one that you had. So, and what you are trying to attain is of a different vibration. So we need to shift your connection to what a relationship means to you, which means letting go of the ideas that you have about relationship right now and adopt something different. It's literally that easy. However, like I said, what's not easy, it's the actioning of that, it's the implementation. So I started off with blessings. I don't know how I got to where I am right now, but the idea here is gratitude for yourself is very important. What are you leaving behind you? For those of you who read cards, I'm not a tarot reader. I mean, I look at cards and they speak to me, but I'm not a traditional tarot reader. So if you see these cards, they may have a different meaning for you. By all means, go with it. But I will kind of give you my version. I'll show you all the 3 cards. 9 of Swords in reverse, 7 of Swords, and 8 of Cups in reverse. I'm going to show it to you. And when I saw these cards and the way they landed, here's what I felt. It was very specific. Stop holding on to the belief that someone is out to get you. That is, for some of you, it's going to land like a bullseye in the middle of your forehead. And some of you are stuck in that. Some of you are stuck in that belief. You believe that somebody's out there to get you. So you have a scarcity mind. Where would that come from? From many things. You have experienced being betrayed in the past. You have experienced your mom being betrayed by your dad, or your dad being betrayed by your mom. I mean, there's the gazillion different examples that I could give, which are not coming to me right now. But it comes from a place of having experienced it. So if you cling to the notion that there is no one really there that's really honest, that everybody always has an agenda, then you attracting circumstances of the opposite nature is going to be very, very hard, because that's a completely different vibration. So let's say you are in a relationship and you have this belief, and with that belief comes the idea that goes something like this. You go into the relationship, you're kind of always making sure that you're kind of closed a little bit. You don't give fully of yourself, so you kind of hold back because you just never know. You'd rather be prepared than feel bad. Well, the problem with that is that you are never really fully in that relationship. You're not really giving of yourself. And if you're not giving of yourself and you're blocking yourself from potential pain, which is what you're expecting, then your door is closed, or at least half closed, which means the universe cannot give you what you want because you're not able to receive it. Also, when you are subconsciously expecting something bad to happen, then that is your truth. Your truth is something's going to happen. If that's the case, you will create it. And you will not necessarily create something happening, but you will find something that will prove that you're correct. So this is the idea of living your own truth. So for some of you, you have this idea that people are out there to get you, and there's really no honest people in the world. I would really ask you to challenge that notion, because if there is no honest people in the world, for one, you should not be listening to me, because for all you know, I could be lying to you. And you know how you know when I'm not lying to you? Because you can feel it. Because whatever I say resonates with you or doesn't resonate with you. In other words, your body will tell you. So rather than trying to stay in your head and protect yourself, why don't you be open? And if someone is not being true with you or honest with you, you'll feel it, and then you'll make a choice and you'll move on, or you'll address it. But to expect, and this is the subconscious expectation, but to expect that something is going to happen, therefore you'd rather have your guard up, you're not living fully, you're not living to your full potential, and you're kind of sort of always looking for something to go wrong. And that is not peace. That is actually the opposite of peace. So what is this thing? Where is this going? Like, why are we letting go of all of this? Meaning you, presuming you do want to let go of some of this stuff that's been attached to you from the past. Well, because there's a new beginning. So this card represents your spirit, your fire element, and this is also obviously Ace of Wands, a fire element. So this is a new beginning, and this is either a new beginning in relationship, in something that you're passionate about, or in your work. Generally, it's work that you're at least somewhat passionate about, or you derive a lot of joy from it. But I feel 75% of you, this is going to connect to some sort of a relationship. This doesn't necessarily mean that you will get a brand new relationship if you are in a steady relationship, in a solid relationship, but it does mean that there is a potential change in the way you relate to each other. So if you have a relationship, if you're in a relationship, for example, and your guard has always been up, and sometimes we don't even know that our guard is up, because we're so used to being the way we are, we don't even realize that this is what we do to have a guard up. Sometimes it takes some work and peeling some layers, and through various methods, there's a way of finding that out. But if you're in a relationship and you've always been guarded, perhaps your self-analysis over the next few weeks is going to allow you to shift your perception and try something new. And as a result of that, your relationship is going to shift. Because let me tell you one thing, and I know one thing for sure. Well, I know a few things for sure. One thing I know for sure, we're not going to be here one day. But also what I know for sure is that the moment you shift what you see, or how you see things, and the moment you shift how you do things, your life, the universe realigns itself in order to meet you at your new level of vibration. So it is impossible for you not to change and have your relationship not change. It's impossible. It's virtually impossible. So the card of self-discipline comes up in order to say, what are your priorities? Is your priority to stay in your current belief system because that's just the way it is and so be it? Or is your priority to live a life that's slightly different than the one you have right now? It doesn't mean that you have a bad life. It just means that there's generally some time for some area for improvement. And generally, if you're listening to something like this, there's something that you are wanting to improve, even if it's yourself. And I'm not gonna say just yourself, because you are the reason. You're the reason why you are here. In other words, you're very important. Yeah. So what is your what are you disciplined about? Self-discipline can also denote, if you're very stubborn and you cling to, needing to be stubborn, then you need to look at the relationship between you and whatever it is that stubborn gives you in return. Because if you're acting a certain way or behaving a certain way, then that behavior gives you something in return, presumably, right? I mean, we don't do anything for no reason. Everything has a reason behind it. Everything. Sometimes it's about, again, peeling the layers. So discipline. Let's see what else. What is important in your life and why? Examine those. And examine if your belief about what's important to you has changed. Oftentimes that will happen. Particularly now, as we're shifting the energies, our perception will change. So certain things you vied for, is that the right word? Vied for in the past may not be as important to you right now. And certain things you deemed crazy or ridiculous may actually mean a lot to you. Things that you may have thought as impossible or crazy, now you're thinking, you know what, it's actually not crazy at all. Remember, it's all perception. So this more than anything, this card to me is about evaluating your priorities. Evaluating, questioning and evaluating your priorities. That's what I want to say here. And last but not least, which card do I want? Cheetah. So cheetah is a fire element again. So there's a lot of fire here. It's your spirit, it's your passion. Cheetahs are very agile. That's the word that came to me. Agile, which again, agile to me means, what's the word I want to use, please? Flexibility. There's a lot of red and yellow, or orange and yellow. So that's your second and third chakra. That is all about creation and receptivity. So receiving, creation, and expression, your will, how your powerhouse. I feel a lot of this is about relationships and not being afraid to dream the impossible. That is what came through. Don't be afraid of dreaming the impossible. So I don't know, obviously that statement is going to mean something to different people, different things to different people, but just notice what you feel or what comes to you when you hear that. Don't be afraid to dream the impossible. Okay? So Flexibility is denoted here, which is perhaps you need to become a little bit more flexible in the way you look at things, in the way you see things, absolutely the way you see yourself. Perhaps it's looking at where you are really rigid and being a little bit more flexible there, or introducing a little bit more flexibility, a bit more pliability. When we are very rigid, we often resist. When life flows and we are rigid, the resistance will cause us discomfort. Sometimes it's physical discomfort. When life flows and we are flowing with it, then there's a lot less resistance, a lot less pain, a lot less discomfort. Therefore, if there's anything that you are resisting now, you're resisting in your life right now, ask yourself the question, why you're resisting? And what is it that you're resisting? Okay? Chances are whatever you are resisting is connected to some sort of pain in the past, which if that's the case, you need to examine it. Well, you don't need to do anything, but it would be wise for you to examine it so that you can understand it from a different perspective, draw value from it, draw wisdom from it, and then move on. The moment we see past circumstances, the ones that hold us back still, from the perspective of having gained value, is the moment our connection to those circumstances shifts. It shifts in vibration. So you still have that as your experience, but the way you are emotionally connected to it shifts and changes. And as a result of that, you end up moving on. So with that said, that's all I have for you. It felt like a lot of information. I do hope this makes sense to you. I'm looking at the clock. It's 3:33. So for some of you, you may be seeing repeated numbers, which is my way of saying Spirit is communicating with you. So pay attention. If you would like to comment how this connects with you, I would love to read it. I read every single one, and I try to heart every single one. If I miss it, it's not because I ignored you, it's because my phone is not registering sometimes, and I miss it, but eventually I'll go and heart them all. But I love all your comments, doesn't matter what they are. And they're all fantastic, by the way. For private sessions, of course, that information is down below. You can reach me, or you can book your own session, and have yourself a fun, wonderful Christmas, happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, whatever you are celebrating. And do take yourself seriously and do take care, okay? I look forward to seeing you again, and see you soon. Bye-bye.